Welcome back, folks, to Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona podcast. Episode 26 today. We're going to have some trail talk, and this is going to be the 10 awesome trails no one's going to tell you about. Now, it isn't like it's a secret or anything like that, folks. If you look up your resources and find some of the maps or apps that are available for Sedona hiking, what I'm trying to do, folks, is this time of year it's pretty intense with spring break, the amount of traffic and amount of people that are looking to hike on all the trails. So my goal is to give you some ideas as to places that are just as spectacular, but a little less crowded and a little off the beaten path, so to speak. So as I discuss the trails in Sedona, you have to know that at the time of year, the weather and your skill set's going to ultimately determine if you're going to take any of these trails or not. Also, the distance and mileage that each of these trails show on GPSs or maps are all based on a one-way distance for the most part, but ultimately you can always turn around and come back. You're also going to find that most systems, GPS systems, trail maps, apps, are going to have slightly different numbers when it comes to mileage and length of trails one way. So don't worry so much about it. You know what your skill set is. Make sure whatever choices you make are based around your skill set and the time of year and the weather that's coming. The list isn't a top 10, folks. It's not like, ooh, these are going to always be the top 10 hikes of Sedona. It's more or less a short list of trails that you can hike in Sedona and not have an overload of hikers on it. Now, I understand there could be an abundance of hikers during spring break everywhere in Sedona, but these are going to have a tendency to be a little bit less crowded than the others. And this time of year, folks, when I'm recording this podcast, the time of year is our spring break season. And we will be flooded with hundreds of thousands of hikers and somewhere around 7 to 8 weeks in time frame. So it's going to be some pretty crowded areas. So it's most important to find the gems that'll blow your mind with views and stretch your skills a little bit with different terrain. So here goes. The first one that I like telling everybody about, it's kind of more like two trails in one. It's called the Coxcomb to Western Civilization Trails. This is located at the far west side of Sedona. It's a phenomenal hike for early morning departures. And the reason is because the hot air balloons that fly in Sedona tend to be flying out and around the Coxcomb area. So it's really dynamite if you can get an early start to this, and then by the time you get to the Coxcomb area, you might get some really dynamite pictures of the hot air balloons going up and down and all around. It's a relatively easy hike, but has some moments where you will be going up a little bit, but it's for the most part considered an easy, flattish trail. They've made an amazing connector that brings you all the way around Coxcomb Rock for some phenomenal pictures and rock formations as you zip around the entire Coxcomb Formation. The next trail I'm going to give you is called Chuckwagon Trail. This is a wonderful three-way trail connector located off of Long Canyon Road. For the most part, there's actually 3 entrances to get there, but the easiest entrance or the best entrance that I would call for easier parking would be off the Long Canyon Road. And it is one of the most impressive low canyon hikes that's located in the Secret Mountain Wilderness or around the Secret Mountain Wilderness. There are 3 entrances to it. If you get yourself onto the Long Canyon Road, you're going to find 2 of the 3 entrances right there. The largest parking area that's available on the right on Long Canyon Road, that one's going to be okay, but it still gets a little crowded, so just drive about maybe 1/8 of a mile more, and on the left you're going to see the main trail entrance to Long Canyon. There are several pull-offs on Long Canyon Road on the left and right side, but right at that smaller parking area is the trail directly to Chuckwagon. Now the next one's going to be called Highline Trail. Hiline. Some folks spell it High, but that's not correct. The way they spell the trail is like I mentioned. This one swings around the Cathedral Rock Formation and is a super magical wonder. And it's filled with ups and downs and like a bazillion photo ops of Cathedral Rock as you're hiking around it. In my honest opinion, folks, I feel that the views of Cathedral Rock are more impressive when you're on Highline Trail. Highline Trail has 2 entrances to get to, and both have much less traffic than if you went to the Cathedral Rock parking area itself. The entrance 1 is off of Verde Valley School Road from the Turkey Creek Trailhead area. Once you get to the Turkey Creek Trailhead, you cross the road to find yourself on Baldwin Trail. And at that major intersection, there is a sign showing you the direction to Highline. It's going to be going to your right. Entrance 2 is at the Yavapai Vista Trailhead, located off of 179, and it's opposite of the Bell Rock and Courthouse Vista View trailheads. At the kiosk signage, you're essentially going to follow the Yavapai Vista Trail to the Highline Connector and just run northward from there. Unbelievable views from that trailhead all the way through Highline and back. Just impressive, and it really doesn't matter what time of the day you're doing that trail. Folks, it's just going to be blowing your mind either way. Another trail that I like to share with folks is called Turkey Creek Trail, located also off of the Verde Valley School Road in the VOC, and it's one of my favorite quiet hikes to take. Now, I mentioned before in the description of the Highline Trail that you actually go to the Turkey Creek Trailhead. So you're going to be using that same option, that same parking area for the Highline Trail or for the Turkey Creek Trail. It can be a tad long in distance if you hike to the rim, but as with any trail that I talk about in Sedona, hike till you don't want to and turn around and come back. There are some amazing formations along the hike, and you're going to be seeing a diverse ecosystem of sorts throughout the journey. There are some absolute wide open flats. There's some creek walking. There's some nice up and downs. You're going to get your hands a little dirty sometimes walking around some of the rocks, but just absolutely spectacular. Next one is the Woods Canyon Trail. This one is probably one of the least used trails as far as I've been noticing over the last 10 years. It's located directly behind the Visitor Center on the Route 179 entrance as you're coming in from the highway from 17. So as you're coming into Sedona, or what's called the Village of Oak Creek, the VOC, from 179, you're going to be passing the Red Rock Ranger District Station and the Visitor Information Station. The trail is actually right there, so you can actually pull in, get out of your car, and find the trail and hike up. The canyon follows the Dry Beaver Creek Canyon. It can merge onto Hot Loop about 3/4 of the way through, but I recommend staying on Woods Canyon. It can be very long as well, and it's somewhere around 5 to 5.5 miles in length one way. Again, depending on your desires, it's super quiet, super wonderful. Next trail is going to be Jim Thompson Trail. This is superbly designed for people looking for a simpler and quieter hike. Now, the parking is at the Brins Mesa Trailhead, which can get busy at times, but there's also a sub-parking lot about maybe 200 yards prior to the main Brins Mesa Trailhead. You're going to see signs for the Jim Thompson Trail. They both go to the right side of the parking area or the road. Once you jump on Jim Thompson's trail, it's basically going to be giving you some ridiculous views of some of our more famous rock formations, such as Steamboat Rock, Fish Rock, the Chief and his Three Warriors. And it's also going to be giving you an idea as to how impressive Wilson Mountain really is, because Jim Thompson Trail kind of hugs along the base of Wilson Mountain. Next one is Marg's Draw Trail. This one's located in several places, but what I'm going to do is focus on probably the best parking area for hiking this trail. It's got the most available parking spots and hardly known. Getting to Marg's Draw Trailhead in this case is off of what is called Sombart Lane, and Marg's Draw provides epic views of Munns Mountain wilderness. When you park at the trailhead and you start walking up the trail, it's going to be kind of just a steep stair climb for about maybe 100 feet or so, but then it just tapers off to a nice flat. And you're going to be hiking about maybe a half a mile or less to where that offshoot or that trailhead connects to the main Marg's Draw Trail, which goes right or left, in other words, south or north. If you take the trail to the right and go south, it's going to bring you to the connecting point at Morgan Road, roughly a couple miles at the most. Okay, and if you go north, you're going to be brought to the connection at the Schnebley Hill Road, which is also known as the Munns Wagon Trail trailhead. The entire hike is pretty wide open and just allowing super amounts of phenomenal photography of not only the red rocks of Sedona, but the Coconino layer, the limestone layer of rocks, the white rocks. Just spectacular. Wonderful for a sunset because it's relatively flat, not super tricky on the feet, just a nice casual kind of a hike. The next one I'm going to give you is called the Slim Shady Made in the Shade Loop. It's a very scenic loop hike with the trailhead at the Yavapai Vista Trail. I mentioned that before as well for the Highline. You could find yourself at one of the trailheads and end up having access to many different trails that are less traveled and a lot more quiet than most of your average trails that everyone shows you. So this one is one of those indeed. It's called Slim Shady because it does tend to be out in the wide open. But I love how the path kind of veers southward and into some deep pockets of red rocks. Near the end of Slim Shady Trail, you're going to be coming across the option to take Made in the Shade Trail back, and it returns you northward. So Made in the Shade is going to have you hugging the impressive range called Seven Warriors. So as you're coming back towards where you started at the Yavapai Vista Trail, you're going to be walking around the base of Seven Warriors mountain formation. It's pretty impressive. As you do your return walk or your walk down on this loop, across the road from you where you're hiking, you're going to be seeing Bell Rock and Courthouse Butte, but you're also going to notice that they're going to be very filled with people, and where you're hiking is not going to be as congested. The last one, folks, or the last grouping, is going to be called Pine Valley and Pine Valley Ridge Loop. This is a dynamite and a very local loved trail for folks living in the village of Oak Creek. The parking for this little trail is off of Jack's Canyon Road, and it's called the Jack's Canyon Trailhead. Kind of hard to find, so be patient with your finding the driveway to go to Jack's Canyon. Once you get into that parking lot, you have to walk back to the road, cross the road, and then head a tad to your left to find the entrance to the trail. It's not going to be clearly marked as with the rest of trails, which makes it even more impressive. It's best known for a rock formation that's right up against the wall called Rabbit Ears. Now, you may not be able to see Rabbit Ears clearly until you start venturing down the Pine Valley Ridge and looking back, because Rabbit Ears, as you're looking at it from the beginning of the trail, blends right into the wall, and you really can't tell that it looks like a pair of rabbit ears. Now, the entire loop is just a wonderful little short hike, and it gives you totally different viewing of Courthouse Butte and Bell Rock, and it just so happens to be hugging the base of Lee Mountain as well. Just a wonderful kind of a hike, folks. Beautiful, out of the way, very quiet, very quiet. So everybody, that's roughly around 12 trails total, if you include the hook connects to the loops. So that's a nice little quiet area for you to enjoy. Quiet hikes to find, quiet locations to go, better parking situations. But again, if you choose to get into the mayhem and listen to all the people at the hotels telling you to go to Devil's Bridge and Boynton and Fay and West Fork and all that, then be prepared to be in lines for not only parking, but hiking. That's unfortunate, but that's what happens this time of year. So folks, remember, all hiking trails in Sedona require a Red Rock parking pass. The Red Rock parking pass means that if you buy these passes, they're either going to be good for a day, a week, or a year. But if you buy them, that gives you full access to all the trailheads that are in Sedona. There are a couple of state parks that we have trailheads on, like West Fork. West Fork is a different rate. That is a state park hiking trail, not a Sedona hiking trail. So this pass isn't good for some of those other trails. As far as where you can get the hiking pass, real simple. You can go to just about any of our trailheads, have a kiosk with a credit card accessible purchase for it. You can also go to a lot of our gas stations. Most of our grocery stores will also have them. And of course, the Chamber of Commerce Tourist Information Centers are going to have them as well. The price ranges for the Red Rock Parking Pass is something like this. A day pass is going to cost you $5. A week pass is going to cost you $15. And a year pass is going to cost you $20. So it depends on where you're from, and are you just visiting us once this year? Then I would suggest getting either the day pass or the week pass. But if you're a local Arizonian and you're from Phoenix, the $20 year pass is the best way to go. So thank you very much, folks, for listening in. I greatly appreciate your time. Keep it as you need it to be, folks. If you want to get into some congestion, just feel free to come out during the spring break and jam on all the trails that everybody else is jamming on. Otherwise, take a listen to these trails, get a look at them on the maps, on the apps, and also during my podcast, I'm talking about each trail, giving you detailed descriptions of the trailheads, the trails themselves, and then just enjoy yourself. And remember, it's all about safety, so don't try to push yourself beyond your means. Keep within your skill set. Always be safe. Don't become a statistic. And folks, with any luck, you might see me on the rocks. Thank you again for listening in today, folks. Your time and energy is greatly appreciated. Please feel free to download these episodes, favorite them, share them, and even visit my YouTube channel, Yava-Coco Productions, for all the podcast playlists and for some insanely cool videos of my hiking adventures that I do in Sedona. That all helps me to continue to bring you more exciting podcasts and videos, both for healing, spirituality, as well as just kind of amazing videos of Sedona, Arizona. For those of you wanting to dig in a little deeper, maybe you're struggling with some inner issues, or you're in a recovery path from an addiction, or just looking for inspirational discussions about healing, check out all of my podcasts on your favorite podcast players. Titles like Path to Recovery Podcast, Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God Podcast, Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona Podcast, and yes, I even have one called Star Wars, The Bear Awakens Podcast. We are here to help you, and what we're trying to do is offer you things that can help you for free. Plus, there's entertainment involved with a lot of these anyway. So thank you again, folks. God bless you, and I hope to see you on the rocks. Things that can help you for free. Plus, there's entertainment involved with a lot of these anyway. So thank you again, folks. God bless you, and I hope to see you on the rocks.